Welcome to Counterculture-Wise, a Stormcat production, with your hosts, Melanie Hope and James Monis. The views expressed on this podcast are those of the hosts, our guests, and the dog, and do not necessarily reflect the views of any of our platforms, our advertisers, or any other dog.
As you listen today, please remember, we are so much more than a podcast. All of our stories we discuss are linked in our show notes on counterculturewise.com. Visit there for commentary, guest photos and links, animations, and fun merchandise.
If you have a story idea or would like to be a guest on our show, contact us via our website. You can also follow us on Twitter, Gab, Instagram, Facebook, and all over social media where we'll post memes, cat pics, and commentary that gets us booted off on a regular basis.
If you're watching our live show, hit like and join the chat. If you're listening dead, well, you can still hit like, share, subscribe, and comment, but please stop voting Democrat. And with the meows of the Maxi Meow, we begin another Counterculture-Wise show.
Yeah!
Welcome back, ladies and germs. I am your hostess with the mostest, Ms. Melanie Hope, and welcome to a beautiful, fantastical, sunshiny Sunday.
It has been a stunning day today.
A stunning day today, and boy, do we have a lot to tell you about it.
Yes.
I am your hostess with the mostest, Ms. Melanie Hope, and between my feet is the wonderful orange Maximilian von Riegelbeezer, and at my side...
Hello, dear friends!
Yeah, that's why he doesn't get a mic. And at my side is, well, an absolutely sound asleep and snoring Sadiekins. She had a good day of playing fetch and having a good time. And then, of course, with me in studio in front of me is my very best friend. Happens to be my husband and my co-host. Oh, and my sweet babu, Mr. James Monis.
Babu, 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 babu.
That's the Doppler babu?
Yeah. You know, I always like to start off with a dad joke, but, you know, I don't have any children, so that just makes me a faux pas. You won't have to hear another one for a week, folks.
Whole week. Hang in there, kids. Hang in there. Speaking of weeks, if you're looking for last week's podcast and you're hearing this one before you heard that one, sorry.
Yeah,
we did record it. It's there. Yeah. It's coming. I promise. Any minute now. So it is coming. I swear. Sigh. But we have a lot to talk about today. You put some stuff in the intro that just isn't really good stuff.
Oh, well, it's sad stuff. Maybe we should just skip that nonsense because...
I mean, it's news everybody knows.
Yeah. Chuck is going to talk about it anyway.
We'll talk about it, so do pay attention.
We'll just not...
Do pay attention to the news of the holy crap, this is actually happening YouTube site because
I don't really want to talk.
You got last week's and this week's to catch up on. Actually,
yes.
We do have last week's that we will be at least playing here since it kind of didn't get played last week.
Yeah.
So let's move right on into our caterpilarpocalypse that has turned into our Butterflocalypse.
Yes. And you know, I mean, we try to bring some kind of scriptural thing into the show each week. And I think to me, caterpillars turning into butterflies is kind of a symbol of being born again, being reborn.
Well, I mean, they do actually turn into liquid. So they literally die and then are reborn.
I've always wondered what they look like inside. I should probably look at diagrams or pictures or something.
Yeah, I don't recommend cutting any open if we...
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that to the poor little thing.
So anyways, for those of you who are not getting a visual, We're not showing one yet, but we will be taking video because it's been pretty crazy. We live way out in the middle of nowhere, and I mean nowhere. That's why we haven't been broadcasting live, because there is no internet or cellular service or anything of that kind out here.
We use Elon Musk's Starlink,
which is wonderful.
It has been working.
Except on Sunday nights. Apparently everybody and his dog and his cousin and his uncle is a next door neighbor and everybody in
Hey,
between.
they're about to do their podcast. Let's get on.
Let's get on. So,
okay.
yeah. But other than that, I have no complaints. I actually really love the service, and we wouldn't have service at all if it weren't for Mr. Elon Musk. So thank you for that. Although it did cost us a pretty penny.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
It was. Well, now it's way cheaper because, after we get it. But
yeah.
Anyways, we live so far out in the middle of no dang where that we have deer just wandering through our front yard at any given time.
Coyotes and roadrunners, those certainly not at the same time.
Roadrunners and vultures and guinea fowl and armadillo and skunks.
And there's a donkey in the neighbor's yard.
And a donkey. And somebody has a peacock. I've been hearing that out there.
Yeah.
And just about every type of bug you can possibly imagine. Lots of poison ivy that we just learned how to identify a couple days ago.
I learned how to identify it on my legs. But okay.
I used an app, so I went out with wellies and gloves and long sleeves.
Because one of us has brains. I'm the Mensa member, but she's got all the brains.
Yeah, so I went out there with an app and started identifying plants. A lot of it is just a particular type of maple, but a whole lot of it is poison ivy. So we're going to be out there.
I'm in the process of trying to reduce it.
I did learn that fire is not a good route. So, I wanted to get out there and just blast it with a flamethrower. I have learned that the oils will actually harm your lungs, so we won't be doing that.
Yeah, I do enough of the trash burning to affect my lungs. Yeah, folks, try never to go somewhere where you can call up the trash collecting people and they go, "I'm sorry, we're full up." Actually, I don't think they even said the word sorry. I don't think an apology issued from their lips.
It's like, nope, we're full up.
Full up. Okay.
Okie dokie then. I think we just live too far out for them to even get to us. I mean, there's no way a truck could get up here, so we'd have to go all the way, which is about, a quarter of a mile?
Yeah, over near our mailbox, which
that's almost half a mile.
I don't completely trust that, so that's why we have a P.O. box in town.
Yeah. So. Anyways, that being said, we live far enough out that we came home the other day, and the entire side of our house, and I mean, I am not exaggerating, wall to wall, all the windows, the porch, the doors, everywhere you looked, every shape, size, and color of caterpillar you can imagine, all the fluffy, fuzzy
all
ones.
The colors of the rainbow.
And we had the big black and tans. We had teeny tiny little kind of greenish, whitish ones. We had big, fluffy white ones with black polka dots, and just everywhere. And I mean, they were falling off the trees onto your head. They were falling. I had to come out there with a broom and gently kind of scoosh them off of the patio because the dog was trampling them, and we had guts all over the place. And it was crazy. It was insane. And of course, you know what that means. Within a week, it's going to be nothing but butterflies out here. So it's already started.
You're going to be inhaling them. It's
quite
be
Twitter-pated. Even this afternoon when we came home from church, one landed on me and one was in my hair, and several were on the car, and there were a bunch on the patio.
And some of them were doing the bow chicka wow wow.
Yeah, brown chicken, brown cow. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And my cardinals are back. Yay. The cardinals finally found the new place for the feeders because we had to rearrange the entire CCW offices because we had to plug something in somewhere else that needed to be plugged in, which meant nobody could plug anything else in over there. So
it's not as bad as the last studio, but
no, it's fantastic. I love this. And we have 3 whole outlets. I mean, that's 2 more than we had in the other one. So that's and we have an air conditioner, and I can look out and see the birdies eat. The cardinals, which I do love my cardinals. So anyways, we here are at Butterfly Central.
Yes, we are.
And we will be taking some video because it is amazing out there. The sun peeking through the trees and cardinals eating at the bird feeder. And I'm going to get a hummingbird feeder going here pretty soon because I do hear we get them around here. And I love me some hummingbirds. But I'm going to have to get them high enough that I can see them because we're up pretty high.
Yeah, and they're kind of tiny.
And then, of course, there's the skeeters. Lots and lots of skeeters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try to stay away from we have a pond not too far from our house where I would go the rest of the year, but today and for the next month I'm
No.
staying away.
We'll go get some of those drop tablets and see if we can cut down on mosquitoes. The problem is we have a river that kind of brings them to us. And then, of course, we've got lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of overgrowth.
People are going to get jealous of us. I mean, this is a nice
they
place.
should. But, hey, head on over to counterculturewise.com. I would say drop everything, but I'm still in the middle of working on that particular stinger.
Thank God.
But do please head on over to
Wear a helmet
counterculturewise.com.
every time you say that. Steel-toed boots.
Wait till you see the stinger I've been working on. And like, share, subscribe, do all the things you need to do. Head on over to our website and help us keep this roof over our head because we really do like it and we don't want to get eaten by the caterpillars.
Righto.
All righty. Well, let's move on into news of the weird and wonderful. Also, another stinger I'm still working on. We'll get there. Actually, no, I think I can play. Let's see if it happens. I don't know if it happened. No. I have no way of knowing if it happened. Okay, we're just going to pretend like it happened and hope it did.
This comes from a organization called A Place Called Hope.
Oh.
An animal rescue group in Connecticut said a pair of drunk vultures were treated with fluids and a big breakfast before getting released. Because I know that when I'm really drunk, nothing helps better than a big breakfast, especially when I'm a vulture. What the? A Place Called Hope said in a Facebook post that the dynamic duo had been dumpster diving and ended up eating something that was fermented enough to cause severe intoxication.
You wouldn't think that would be possible with vultures because that's kind of their gig.
It is their gig. The rescue said the vultures were initially thought to be seriously ill, but testing confirmed they were merely too drunk to fly.
Wow, just like Southwest. No.
Yeah, they only needed fluids and to be tucked in overnight and fed a big breakfast the next day, the Post said. The vultures were released back into the wild and successfully rejoined their colony. Remember, your cocktail fruit that ends up in a dumpster can end up intoxicating wildlife if the dumpster is not kept closed, the Post said.
Cocktail fruit. Well, they got a cocktail, all right.
Yeah. Buzzard tail, just
cocktail, buzzard tail, whatever tail.
Vulture tail. I get vultures and buzzards mixed up even when I'm reading an article.
What is the difference between vultures and buzzards?
Spiritually, nothing.
Spiritually, they're both scary, nasty birds.
Yeah.
Okay, a 100-year-old British train car found buried in Belgium?
Yo.
Buried in what? Archaeologists excavating a 19th century fortress in Belgium made a surprising and mysterious discovery, a nearly 100-year-old train car originating from England. The London North Eastern Railway said the researchers working to uncover the northern citadel in Antwerp found a dark red train car marked with the LNER logo. The company identified the find as removals car. A removals car meant for moving property from a person's old home to a new residence. So it's basically a 100-year-old U-Haul.
Cool.
Which is about the same age as most of the trucks.
Well, it certainly is the age of the one we used, so...
The wooden removals truck is thought to be around 100 years old. Well, you already said that. It's a mystery as to how the carriage came to be in Antwerp, but unfortunately there's very little left of the relic as it has disintegrated while being excavated. Wah, wah. LNER researchers said the car appears to be the very first model of a removals car, and they were used only briefly around 1930 before the company replaced them with updated blue models. So they just painted them? The company said researchers still haven't determined how the car came to be buried 500 miles from LNER's British headquarters. This curious find has certainly generated lots of interest, and we are delighted the team from the Urban Archaeology Department of the City of Antwerp have helped shed more light on the discovery. We're fascinated by LNER's history, and we'd like to thank the team for their help in unearthing more information about its proud past. So the picture's pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
So basically, you hooked up all of your belongings to a train car and that moved you from one house to another?
Guess so.
Okie dokie. All right, the saga of Molly the Magpie.
So there's two articles here.
Yeah, because it was sad, but then it got better.
But then it was happy. Did you want to go straight to the happy, or did you want to read the...
Well, no, because you need to know
sad?
why it's sad.
Okay.
Where it comes from, because Australia is a dystopian hellhole, and it's just nice to hear that something good happened there for a change.
All right. A decision to confiscate a pet magpie, which formed an unlikely bond with a Staffordshire Bull Terrier, has caused uproar in Australia, with tens of thousands of people lobbying for the bird to be returned. Juliet Wells and Reese Mortensen from Queensland found the magpie as a chick in a local park 4 years ago and worried that it would not survive, brought the bird home. They named it Molly, and as it grew up, it formed a strong bond with the couple's bull terrier, Peggy. For social media, it was a match made in heaven. Ms. Wells and Mr. Mortensen post photos showing Peggy and Molly lying on the carpet together, playing in a park, and appearing to be the best of friends. The pair have nearly 2 million followers on Instagram and Facebook. Ms. Wells eventually wrote a book called Peggy and Molly, Be Kind, Be Humble, Be Happy. They must have listened to our show. But animal welfare experts objected strongly to the arrangement, saying it was illegal to take a bird from the wild without permission. Molly was confiscated by officials from Queensland Environment Department earlier this week. In an emotional video that they posted online, Ms. Wells and Mr. Mortensen said they had been forced to surrender their beloved bird. A small group of people had vociferously complained about Molly living with them as a pet.
Of course.
Karen. The confiscation of Molly has provoked a furor, with more than 70,000 people signing a petition calling for it to be returned to its human carers and Peggy the dog. This is a classic example of bureaucracy over common sense and humanity, one person wrote on Instagram. Mm-hmm. It has even dragged in politicians. Stephen Miles, the Premier of Queensland, supports the calls for Molly to be reunited with Peggy. I think sometimes common sense needs to prevail. If you look at the story, there's a better outcome possible, he said on Thursday. Queensland's Environment Department insisted that magpies should not be removed from the wild and turned into pets. The bird had been taken from the wild and kept unlawfully with no permit, license, or authority, said the department.
Oh, for crying out loud, it's a frickin'
it's a bird, for Pete's sake.
And it's not like it was a condor or a bald eagle. It's, magpies are about the same thing as crows here.
Yeah.
Of course, we have magpies here, too.
That's true. Heckle and Jekyll. The authorities admitted that Molly cannot be released into the wild.
Oh, so we just keep the poor thing miserable for the rest of its life, you jerks.
Instead, the bird will be placed in a, quote, suitable facility.
Cage.
End quote. Cage, jail, whatever. But that could be for a long time, given that magpies can live for up to 30 years.
Oh, goody. I'm glad she gets to spend
Daryl Jones,
30
not
years
to be
in a
confused
cage.
with the bassist for the Rolling Stones, a bird expert from Griffith University, said the only option now was for the bird to be returned to its human guardians.
Yes.
That animal now thinks it belongs to that family.
Yes.
It should go back to the people, he told CNN.
Yes.
The Crow News Network. The authorities could say on reflection, the welfare of the individual magpie in mind, we have decided the best thing to do is for that magpie is to return to the family, he said. Magpies are common in Australia and are notorious for swooping down on people and pecking their heads when they become peckerheads. Pecking their heads when they become highly territorial during breeding season.
All right.
And now Melanie gets to do part 2 of this horrifying saga of a dog and her magpie.
Wah. Molly the magpie reunited with best friend. Yay! So she was seized in March and has been since returned. Reunited after it was surrendered to authorities. We don't need all that thing. 150,000 people signed that petition.
I would have too if I'd known about it.
Here is the puppers and the parents and the magpie. Yay! So they had to get a license, and they had to agree that they could not profit in any way, even on Instagram or whatever, by selling pictures or what. I don't know how they were profiting.
Fair enough.
But they said they weren't anyway.
Right.
They have over 100,000 likes on their Instagram post. I am one of them. Mm-hmm. So anyways, they have to get a wildlife carer's license. That just sounds like a money grab to me. But, you do what you got to do.
Indeed.
So here's the post. We had the best news. Molly is home. We're overwhelmed with emotion right now. I've been visualizing, look forward to this day, what feels like a lifetime. It's a very exciting reunion. A little cry of happiness from Molly. When we arrived home, Peggy and Ruby Wiggly Bottoms were in full force, and a few excited noises from Molly. We're so grateful for you supporters, the Premier Stephen Miles and the DESI for allowing us to get our license and to be reunited with Molly again. We look forward to life settling back to normal very soon. That is one happy looking puppers. Look at that sweet little face.
Cute little face.
So the conditions require the couple to undertake training, provide evidence of Molly's well-being, like 100,000 followers on Instagram wasn't enough, and making no, quote, ongoing commercial gain from the magpie. The couple amassed more than 800,000 followers on the Instagram page, but still have to provide evidence that the bird's okay, which features whimsical pictures and You know what's really funny is they have to provide evidence of the bird's well-being, whereas if they had just left the bird, it would have died.
No.
Anyways, before Molly's return, Miss Wells and Mr. Mortensen admitted to Australia's ABC News that they had profited from Molly, though they suggested they had not made very much. My intention was not to make money. It's not about that. We can't make a living on the money that's been made. Definitely not. A post promoting the book, Peggy and Molly, Be Kind, Be Humble, Be Happy, remains pinned at the top of the duo's Instagram page. Aww.
Right.
Previously, Queensland Premier Stephen Miles intervened and said that it would be a victory for common sense if authorities returned Molly, and they did. So, finally, something good happens in Australia. Congratulations, Molly and Peggy.
And let's talk about another cute couple.
Speaking of donkeys.
Meet Luna and Petey. Petey, an adorable duo whose heartwarming story is capturing the hearts of millions. Luna, now roughly 21 years old, was originally intended to be a trail horse. However, her journey took an unexpected turn when she began to lose her sight due to a condition known as moon blindness.
Moon blindness.
Despite the diagnosis, Luna's owner refused to let her spirits dim. Recognizing her resilience, he sought a companion to assist her in navigating the world. Enter Petey, a devoted donkey with a heart of gold. Petey became Luna's guiding light, her very own seeing eye donkey. Now I've heard everything. With an intuitive sense of when Luna needs assistance, Petey steps in to lend a helping hoof. Together, they form an inseparable bond, embarking on each day's journey hand in hoof. Every morning, Petey leads Luna out of the barn into the pasture. There's actual video of it, and it's adorable. Every evening, Petey guides Luna back into the barn. The remarkable relationship has transcended beyond their barnyard, captivating the hearts of millions on social media. Luna and Petey serve as a reminder that love knows no bounds, and that through compassion and companionship, any obstacle can be overcome.
We can't play these videos because they have copyrighted music on them.
Righto.
Yeah.
So
I don't know why TikTok can get away with it, but nobody else can.
Because they're TikTok.
Anyways, do visit cannogotoby.com where you will find all of the archived articles as well as links to the original if they are still up and doing what they should be doing. All right. Well, Sadie, when she was a wee little puppers, and she still kind of is, but she had a year and we swapped out dogs and whatnot, we decided not to continue, but we might, for her second birthday, get her a new subscription to BarkBox.
Yeah.
And the same company that does BarkBox is now making something called Bark Air.
What is that?
Well, it has a golden retriever on the front, so it's got to be good.
Gotta be
Traveling
good.
with a dog can be challenging, and one dog brand is helping to change that. Bark, known for their subscription bark boxes and dog products, announced on Thursday, April 11th, that they're launching a new travel service, Bark Air. In partnership with a charter jet company, Bark Air is designed to prioritize four-legged travelers, followed by their humans, so they can travel together comfortably and conveniently. At launch, routes will serve the New York metro area via Westchester County Airport, with flights to the Los Angeles area and London. Oh, wow.
Nice. Okay.
Bark's Air's first flights will take off from New York on Thursday, May 23rd.
That is fantastic.
It looks like they have nice couches for them to lay on and all kinds of towels and all kinds of
I
stuff.
want to go just so I can take Sadie to L.A.
Yeah, well, we'd have to drive to L.A. because we're like right smack in the middle, so we'd have to drive to L.A. to get the flight to go to New York or vice versa.
Yeah.
When we started Bark in 2011, we were on a mission to disrupt the dog space and create products designed for dogs and their humans. They do have really great toys.
Yeah, they do.
Sadie loves her squeakies, and she doesn't rip them apart like the other one did.
Yeah.
We are excited to take the insights we've learned over the years to create an experience that is truly dog first, which is drastically different from just accepting dogs from the ground to the skies. We believe this initiative will elevate awareness of our brand's mission and values, introduce more dog lovers to the Bark family, and help enrich the lives of dogs and their people around the world. I'm in for several reasons. One is I don't think you'll have to go through the TSA.
You don't. It's a private company, so you wouldn't need to do that.
Less likely that the doors will blow off. 3, there's not going to be crazy drunk people, trying to open the windows and causing fights. I mean,
yeah.
Sadly, I probably can't afford this one any more than I could afford the Southwest flight. Bark Air has aims to replicate the ethos of human first-class experience, pampering pooches throughout the long-haul flight.
It is a long flight from L.A. to
It is a
New
long
York
flight. I've done it.
Vice versa.
Yeah, it's long. Following booking, a Bark Air concierge will collect information about each dog and their humans' travel plans to ensure the best possible experience. Travelers will only need to arrive at the airport an hour before takeoff for an easy check-in experience. No TSA. Woo! And humans can enjoy a chef-pampered meal before boarding. Oh, chef-pampered, prepared. To help the dogs, I don't know why I said pampered. To help the dog travelers, a Bark Air concierge will welcome dogs at the gate and guide them through socialization and a dog-centric cabin preparation. Woof. Blah. To help dogs experience the voyage, the plane will be equipped with calming pheromones, music, and colors that pups prefer. All furry passengers will have access to calming treats, noise-canceling earmuffs, and calming jackets. In air, dogs will be served their beverage of choice during ascent and descent to beverage of choice. I'll take a Mai Tai. Woof. Sadie's beverage of choice is mud puddles, so I don't know what the during ascent and descent. Well, or that and cat food. To ensure they do not experience any ear discomfort commonly caused by changes in cabin pressure. Additionally, Bark-branded treats, snacks, and surprises will be provided throughout the flight to pampering furry passengers and their humans. It's only going to be rich people with purse dogs doing this. We believe this initiative will raise awareness of Bark's mission in a cost-effective manner. Given that we are not committed to booking flights far in advance, we have a lot of flexibility to opportunistically charter flights during times of high demand. In parallel, we believe the additional traffic to bark.co will raise awareness of our full offering, benefiting our core business in the long run. Yeah, a ticket on Bark Air starts at $6,000 and one human between New York and Los Angeles, and $8,000 between New York and London.
New York, London, Paris.
Yeah, that's
Munich,
definitely affordable.
When
I think of a flight being $6,000, I mean, it's definitely affordable.
Well, how much? I mean, we used to work for a pet taxi company. About how much does it cost to ship a dog?
Not even
close, huh?
Knock a zero off or two.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, not two, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
It would be fun though.
Well, you don't get bark, things and all the stuff that they were saying in the
right.
made
It's
this.
kind of deluxe.
Yeah.
Far out.
We just went to Vegas and stayed in a luxury hotel for almost a week, and we didn't even spend $2,000.
That's true.
And that was including an oil change and updating my computer. And
it's weird. On a side note, when we went to Las Vegas, I know Melanie doesn't like it there anymore, but I just blended right in. It's like I had never left. And we did the most mundane things. We went clothes shopping, went to the grocery store. We got coffee at a couple of latte places we like to go to. We didn't go to casinos.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I think Melanie dropped a $5 while we were just having a beer.
Yeah, we
at a bar.
He went to get his hair
cut
his
more.
knot hair.
Yeah, my head shaven.
Yeah, right before the wedding, and I dropped him off thinking, he'll be a while because he's going to get his muttons remuttoned and stuff. And so I went grocery shopping, not knowing that there was like a billion different orange cones, the state bird of Nevada, everywhere you look. And people were all getting... So by the time I actually get to the grocery store, he's done. And it's like, okay, well, it took me 20 minutes to get here, so you're going to have to wait until I figure out how to get back.
And Barbara kept saying, why don't you just go next door and have a beer? I said, I'll wait. He said, just go ahead and have a beer. I trust you to pay me when she gets back.
Yeah, because once Jim got there, then he relayed that he only accepted cash, and of course... That's not something cash. We have. No.
So, yeah.
All right. So I show up, and he didn't tell me that Jim was next door having a beer. I show up and hand him the money, and he's like, "Oh yeah, he's next door." And it's it had like the speakeasy feeling because you had to poke a button and
Yeah.
to
To be let in.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's about anyway.
I think it's about being near Boulder Highway
That's
is what it's
probably
about.
exactly what it is. That's
exactly
probably exactly
People
what it
who
is.
live there know what I'm talking about.
You know, home of the ghetto birds. Yeah, good old Flaming O. Yeah, so I just thought, popped in, had us a cheap beer, and of course Jim went to the bathroom, which meant I was alone for good in 15, 20 minutes. So yeah, I did. I drive, and what's really sad is I know this, and I don't know why I did it anyway. I could sit there and play blackjack on a fiver probably for 2 hours,
Right,
And
right.
and usually either get my fiver back or 25 cents, or at the very worst lose a buck.
Right.
But I thought, I'm in Vegas and I don't usually do slots, so I'll switch over to slots, and boom, money gone. It was that fast.
Yeah, I didn't drop a penny, which really surprised me because we had made plans to go to several places that we wound up not going to because just enjoying ourselves and taking it leisurely.
Yeah, which we as it was, we tried to pack in too much. And,
Yeah.
But we did get to go to First Friday, which was great. But we did talk about that last week. Well, you didn't get to hear it, but we talked about it.
Yeah,
You'll get to hear
more about it with
You'll
our
hear more about it
past,
as soon as we post it.
our past broadcast of the future.
Yeah. Coming to you from the past now.
All right.
All right. So this one, I tried to get the video for it, but they're kind of weird about the video, so we'll do our best.
A school in Australia set off 2013 confetti cannons at the same time to celebrate its 40th anniversary and break a Guinness World Record. Students at St. Stephen's School in Western Australia sent confetti flying to the air Friday to break the record for the most people launching confetti cannons simultaneously. The previous record stood at 1,116 people, a target the students nearly doubled with 2013. A big thank you to everyone involved, and well done to our students who were so amazing. That's not a knife, this is a knife, the school said in a Facebook post.
All right, so I'm going to try to play the video, but it won't let me make it full screen, and it won't let me start or stop it, so let's hope it works here. Oh, that's really good footage. And they're all little kids, so... I don't know how those cannons work because it looks like they just shake them. I thought confetti cannons went kaboom. There was one person, boop, somebody's went off early. And then the poor custodian's out there with the broom trying to figure out how to... Oh, my. They're making snow angels. All right. Well, that was News of the Weird and Wonderful. We're going to send you on into This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things. Oh, now, see, that's why we can't have nice things.
Oh boy.
Oh, this is a love it and hate it segment, and we would go from wonderful to wicked.
Yeah, and this is no one wins in this situation. What I'm about to talk about now. Sometimes we'll go off script with these articles, which is actually usually better, but I think it's best to stick to what this gentleman is saying from the get-go, and I will say that I am in 100% agreement with what this gentleman has to say. This is from...
Doesn't mean we're in 100% agreement with this gentleman normally has to say.
No, it's true. This is from Not the Bee, which is the nonfiction sister company to the Babylon Bee, which is a very, very funny satire site, kind of like The Onion. It only geared towards more conservative Christian audiences, but they're both funny. But anyway. All right. Everything about this story is weird, by the way. This is written by John Knox from Not the Bee. All right, everything about this story is weird, and if anything, it serves to show how so many American churches have become actual circus shows devoid of sound teaching and common sense.
I agree.
Somebody from the Bee goes, anyway, Mark Driscoll calls out male stripper at men's conference as one of those headlines that makes me think we'll be out of a job at the Babylon Bee soon. Sorry, Babylon Bee bros, but reality is crazier than satire now.
It really is.
Let me try to sum up what happened. I really have to give some background here, and it is important. But skip it if you want.
Yeah, because I didn't have any of this backup. I had no idea who this dude was.
I'd heard of him, but anyway. Mark Driscoll is a megachurch pastor who fell from grace over a decade ago. Known for being fiery at a time when almost no one else was delivering fire from the pulpit. Driscoll had quite the following, particularly among young men, until his anger, abuse, and control issues surfaced, disqualifying him from leadership and putting his church, Mars Hill, in the middle of a national
I remember
scandal.
Mars Hill Church.
Yeah, see? It was a big deal since Driscoll was also a founding council member of the Gospel Coalition and the co-founder of the popular church planting network Acts 29. In the years since, Driscoll has resumed pastoring at a new church he founded in Arizona, but has popped up from time to time on the radar for occasional firebrand moments. Once seen as a leading figure in the new Calvinism movement that spawned a new generation of bearded Theo bros. Do I fall under that category?
I
don't know.
No, I'm not sure what that means.
He has leaned further into the esoteric charismatic beliefs that put him at odds with Reformed theologians. I'm going to tell you, I don't get into the differences. I tend to talk more about the similarities. Remember when he crashed a John MacArthur conference? No, I don't. Driscoll is like an Alex Jones figure in the megachurch evangelical world. He's known as a firebrand who is gifted at speaking and has a dedicated group of followers that points out that he might be right about more things than he is wrong.
Yeah, but Alex Jones literally is right about more things than he is wrong.
True that. Which is why the leaders who invited him to speak at a men's conference in Springfield, Missouri, should have known he would raise a holy ruckus when they invited a guy to do interpretive pole dance on stage. I'm going to say that one more time. They invited a guy to do interpretive pole dances on stage. Yes, the leaders of the Stronger Men's Conference at Shames River Church in Springfield invited this guy. And it shows a photo of him and says how a dirt poor bad boy from a sleepy Moldovan town became a seedy Vegas stripper before wowing millions as BGT's daredevil sword swallower.
Britain's Got Talent.
Ah. Okay, so he's got a name. What the heck were they thinking hiring a male stripper and sword swallower for a men's conference? Well, Mark Driscoll had thoughts, and while they are theologically sketchy on the metaphor side, it is hard to disagree with his frustration. Let's see. Pastor Mark Driscoll, this is from X. I'm not going to say the platform formerly known as Twitter. We all know it's the platform formerly known as Twitter. I just said it.
I'm not going to say the thing I just said.
Pastor Mark Driscoll gets kicked off stage at a men's conference after he calls out Pastor John Lindell for allowing a demonstration from a male stripper. The incident happened at the Stronger Men's Conference in Springfield, Missouri. After Vegas stripper and sword swallower Alex Magala did a performance with his shirt off, Driscoll got on stage and condemned the performance.
He didn't just do it with his shirt off. He ripped his shirt off like a stripper does.
Yeah. Lindell then told Driscoll he's out of line, kicked him off the stage while citing Matthew 18. Bizarre. Okay. He basically said it was Jezebel. I don't think it quotes him completely, but church commentary site Protestia ran an op-ed scathing Driscoll for the public way he handled this, and I thought it was helpful to provide some context before we jump to final conclusions. He said, the performance that Driscoll so strongly objected to is relatively benign and completely mischaracterized by Driscoll in some sexual light because he's a bit of a theological weirdo. When you mind meld his strange obsession with sex with the worst excesses of the charismatic movement, you get whatever it is he was going on about. He's seeing sex and demonic Jezebel spirits where everyone else is seeing an acrobat performing on a bolted down aerial pole used by circus performers, aerialists, and acrobats. The platform he was on wasn't a religious high place, and there wasn't an Asherah pole, some representation of the Canaanite fertility goddess that no one even knows.
Yeah, he did go a little off the rails with that one.
There was no stripper pole unless he believes Cirque du Soleil is the world's biggest strip show.
It kind of is.
Yeah, kind of is. I love Cirque du Soleil, though, I will say. There was a stand used by the performer to be more visible and which helps bolt down the Chinese pole for added safety and security. Now getting back to the author of the article. Okay, point noted. Driscoll isn't exactly the guy we should be listening to for biblically sound metaphors. The church leaders meant this to be manly, not sexual or homoerotic.
Yeah.
I'm just saying what he wrote. Their promo video shows they were going for super manly testosterone explosion as the theme. Here's the problem. The conference leaders thought this was cool, several question marks, or manly, several question marks, but it wasn't. It was a half-naked stripper doing a circus routine on the stage of a church filled with men who were there to learn more about what it means to take up their crosses and follow Christ.
Exactly.
So what's wild is that even though his theology and temperament and character is all over the place, Driscoll actually had a point.
He did.
Here's what I've learned through this story. If Mark Driscoll...
I like this tweet, though.
Yeah.
I agree.
No,
he wins only by accident.
Now, we can't have the half-naked man dancing. Driscoll win. I agree, which is why Driscoll wins, but only by accident. Here's what I've learned through this story. If Mark Driscoll is the sober voice of reason at your men's conference, that says a lot about the quality of the leaders at your church.
Yeah.
John Lindell, the pastor of the James River Church, forced Driscoll off the stage, citing Matthew 18 about confronting a brother privately, which was a real stretch in this case by Lindell's part. Let's not twist the word of God to justify hiring strippers for our men's conferences, eh?
And plus, he wasn't calling him out specifically. He even said right at the beginning, I'm not calling anybody out, but this needs to be brought to everybody's attention.
Somebody posted on X, Megachurch has strip show-like performance at men's conference. Guest speaker Mark Driscoll spoke out against it and was kicked off stage. Unbelievable that any church would allow this. Reason number 538 not to attend a megachurch. Something is deeply rotten in American churches. We have turned houses of worship for Almighty God into circuses, and even guys like Mark Driscoll see it.
Yep.
Get your house in order, American Christian.
Sadly, I agree.
Well, I mean, I contrast this with the first time Melanie and I went to the megachurch Central Christian in Las Vegas. It was a Christmas show, and yes, there were Cirque du Soleil performers, but there was, and they started off
live
with this,
nativity with
and they had
animals,
they had a live band, which they started off with a secular Christmas song. It didn't matter. They kept it clean. They kept it respectful, and the message was still there. I think when you have a big showbiz church, and that's what I'm going to call it, with all due respect to Pastor Judd, I think he's a fine pastor, and he's theologically sound. When you get into that level of showmanship, there is a risk of it going south, and I pray that they don't ever do that. But, at this point, Melanie and I...
This wasn't just a church, though. This was a men's conference.
Yeah.
And it really went sideways.
Yeah. And another thing I want to point out that the article didn't. I mean, the pastor of the church brought up, what was it again? Matthew 18 about confronting a brother privately. Reverend Driscoll was very careful not to point fingers or name names. He just said, in general, this was a bad idea.
I was going to say, if I can show some of the video of what
Pastor Lindell made it about himself and took it personally.
So basically, this guy swallows a sword. Well, first he rips off his shirt, swallows a sword, climbs up this pole. I wonder if he actually.
And by the way, this has nothing to do with the young man's talent. I'm not,
No,
it's got nothing to do with that. But this
he's
is
talented.
Not
it just isn't an appropriate.
This isn't the right platform.
He's brave doing that with shoes on. Wouldn't think he'd do that. Well, he's also wearing skin-tight leather pants. So, I mean, this is not... I don't know. Okay, then he holds up to the top of the pole and spreads his arms out while he's still got the sword supposedly down his throat. Now he flips upside down. Now he's just on the pole, hanging upside down by just his legs. Stretches himself out like he's on the cross, which...
Oh, boy. Yeah.
And then releases his legs and slides all the way down and catches himself right before he falls on the sword. And most of the guys in the front are clapping, and Okay, yeah. So this platform was because there isn't a raised stage, so nobody would have been able to see him if he started from the ground. But yeah, it was basically a circus performance.
Yeah.
And there's a motorcycle on stage for some reason, and I don't know.
That's manly.
Yeah. Well, it's a crotch rocket. It's not a real motorcycle.
Oh, okay, well.
But yeah, I'm just not really sure what the motivation was there. And Driscoll, he actually was very humble about the whole thing. He actually got on a knee. Mm-hmm. He took a knee and took his hat off and was very humble about it. And yeah, some of the things he said were kooky, but pretty much the rest of it was spot on. Yeah. And he was being cheered. And when he got kicked off stage by, butthurt blonde boy, everybody booed.
Butthurt blonde boy.
Oh, maybe he's gray-haired. I can't tell. The video's pretty bad. But and they were booing him because they agreed. Mm-hmm. Thing is, these guys are paying a couple $100 to be there. So.
At least. These things are not cheap.
Yeah. Alrighty.
So I'm with Pastor Driscoll on that one.
Mm-hmm. Let's see if you're with Grandma with this one.
I had to read the headline twice. It's like, what?
Okay. Well, I'll be interested to see how this plays out because I'm going to make this a little bigger. I'll make it not so big that you can't read it. A grandmother was arrested on Thursday after she allegedly helped her granddaughter beat up another student. At an elementary school? A grandmother was dropped off with her granddaughter at McMonagle Elementary School on Thursday. The pair were buzzed into the building for a behavioral meeting. I'm thinking they still need behavioral meetings.
Another one.
Veach said the grandmother saw another girl her granddaughter was having trouble with, so she and her granddaughter followed her into a bathroom. The grandmother
always the classic place for a beatdown in school.
Always, yeah. The grandmother then held down the girl while her granddaughter punched her. Do we have pictures of any of these people? Because I'm having a feeling here. The grandmother is lodged at the Genesee County Jail. No names are being released as she is pending arraignment. Public Relations and Marketing Coordinator of Westwood Heights Schools said in a statement on Thursday, April 18, an unfortunate incident transpired. I love the doublespeak. Involving a grandparent of a student who managed to circumvent security protocols and gain unauthorized access to the school premises. Oh, that's reassuring. The Mount Thomas Township Police Department immediately investigated this incident. Well, it's in italics, so I'm trying to read it italically.
Ah, okay.
It's crucial.
So you turn your head sideways.
I turn my head sideways and I don't talk so good.
Differently, okay.
It is crucial to emphasize that no other children in the school were involved or harmed during this incident. And safety and security and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so there's not much more here. I'd be interested to find out what happens with this one. That's weird. Okay, this one I had to find a different article for because the link was dead, so I did find a different one.
Oh, okay.
It should be live now.
All righty. A federal court in Montana last week imposed a nearly $10 million penalty. That's a lot of money, folks.
That's a lot of money.
Against a Libby, Montana man. When it says Libby's, Libby's, Libby's on the label, you will like it on your table.
I am too young to have ever heard that until just now. Now.
Who sent thousands of harassing and malicious spoofed robocalls at targeted people and communities in several states, specifically following tragedies that included people's murders.
What?
Scott Rhodes, who lived in Libby and in Idaho, had the judgment imposed against him last Tuesday, 3 years after the Federal Communications Commission imposed the 9.9 forfeiture penalty against Rhodes, and after the Department of Justice sued him to collect the money. When the FCC and the DOJ are after your butt,
you might want to rein in the robocalls.
Rein in the robocalls. In placing thousands of harassing and malicious spoofing calls to consumers across the country.
Consumers,
because I was going to say customers, but it was consumers.
Consumers.
Spoofing calls to consumers across the country. Rhodes showed a blatant disregard to caller ID and telephone consumer I did it again. And telephone consumer protection laws designed to prevent this sort of conduct. District of Montana U.S. Attorney Jesse Laslovich said in a statement. In addition to the penalty, a judge ordered an injunction that prohibits Rhodes from violating the Truth in Caller ID Act and Telephone Consumer Protection Act in the future, lest he face further penalties.
Okay,
Do you really
I
think
have
you would?
2 questions here.
Yeah.
One, what was he saying? And 2, how did he know who to call? If
You're
they were
going to
robocalls.
It was spoofed. Remember when people were harassing you from phone numbers that were other people's phone numbers, and I think it's the same kind of thing.
Okay, but then it wasn't robocalls if he was.
I'm not sure.
Specifically
We are
targeted
only
people.
one part of the way in.
All right.
Okay, according to the FCC and the U.S. Department of Justice, no such thing. Rhodes would spoof local numbers and use recorded messages to target specific communities in Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Iowa, and Virginia in 2018 with nearly 5,000 robocalls made with false caller identification information. After Iowa college student Molly Tibbetts was stabbed to death in 2018, Rhodes made robocalls to people living in the town where she was living and other towns nearby containing xenophobic messages about the suspect being an undocumented immigrant, saying the woman was murdered by a biological hybrid of white and savage Aztec ancestors.
Okay.
That's, yeah. The court never confirmed the suspect was living legally in the U.S., and he was later convicted and sentenced to life in prison. When self-avowed... This is the modern press, honey.
All right.
When self-avowed neo-Nazi James Fields Jr. was arrested for running over and killing Heather Heyer with a vehicle during a protest against the Unite with the Right white supremacist rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, we know, Melanie, we know.
I'm not saying nothing.
Thank you. Rhodes sent robocalls to the area making racist statements about the city's mayor and police chief and denigrating statements about Heyer.
All I can say is he was not included in the very fine people.
No, he was not. We're no longer going to tolerate a Jewish lying press and Jew corruption of an American legal system, one of the messages said, according to the DOJ.
I feel like I need a shower after that sentence. Yikes.
Yeah. Rhodes robocalled people in Sandpoint, Idaho, then attacked the local newspaper when it published his identity, and also spoofed robocalls attacking gubernatorial candidates in Florida and Georgia. People who received the calls in the various states filed complaints with law enforcement and the FCC, which led to the federal investigation. After the FCC handed down its fines for Rhodes in January 2021, the DOJ sued that October to try to recover the money and keep Rhodes from violating FCC rules and the law in the future. Throw him in a tank, don't give him a phone. Mm-hmm. If he wants to write something, give him a typewriter.
Or he can make one call a day, but he has to use a quarter.
Yeah. Last October, the DOJ asked for summary judgment to impose the full $9.91 million penalty against Rhodes, which was granted last week along with the injunction.
So, I mean, he can't pay that, so what's
No.
the point?
Just to prevent it, it's punitive. I mean, he's not going to have another penny for the rest of his life. We are very pleased by the court's judgment. We'll continue working with the FCC and other agency partners to vigorously enforce the telemarketing laws that prohibit these practices, said Justice Department Civil Division Principal Deputy Assistant Attorney and really nice guy, General. I had to throw it in because, I mean, every other word was thrown in there.
Yeah.
An associate bottle washer, sheriff, and marshal.
Dog catcher.
Brian Boynton.
Boynton?
Boynton. Okay.
Criminy.
Yeah.
What
a loser.
What a piece of work. I mean, what compelled him? What did he hope to get out of that? I'm totally baffled by the point.
I don't even know what the point is anymore. What's the point, I ask you?
I'm completely at a loss.
Yeah.
Oh,
mental illness, basically.
No.
Yeah, you don't do this. This is a no-no. This is probably the most why we can't have nice things segment of why we can't have nice things.
Dear. And these people live to tell the tale? The North Carolina Wildlife Resource Commission is investigating after a group of people were caught on video pulling 2 bear cubs from... Okay, I got to go find this video.
It's on
I'll go to the original source because I'm not believing what I'm seeing here.
This is actually from the Asheville Citizen-Times, which is a division of USA Today. That is the original article. I went through a couple of places to get there.
Should we go to the office? I don't know what to do. Oh my God. They are literally yanking the bears out of the trees. Where is Mama Bear? Because, oh my God, they're manhandling the poor little things. What are these people thinking?
They're not.
And they're calling her an idiot. The other guy's grabbing the bear. Where's Mama Bear? Because
Mama Bear would have handled this.
Mama Bear, you are lucky to be alive right now. Take a picture of your idiocy and put it all over social media. These people are not bright.
Not at all.
Do they think they're pets? And the way she's handling the poor thing is just cruel. And they're literally like holding them up like they're puppy dogs and taking selfies. Yanking them out of the tree. They're idiots. She dropped it. Oh no, the poor little guy's on the wrong side of the fence now. How is he going to get back to his mama? He's terrified. He's trying to climb the fence. She's chasing it, scaring it half to death, and then it just went on to a different video of something I'm not interested in. That was stupid. Okay. So, Barrington Village Apartments in Asheville on April 16th. In a video obtained by the Citizen-Times, 4 people are trying to grab the black bear cub. They successfully grabbed him, which are perched on a tree branch extending over a short fence to the apartment property. One woman successfully snatches a cub and holds it under the belly, screaming in excitement. Now, I wasn't hearing the audio, but I'm sure the bear cub very much appreciated some stupid broad screaming in its ear.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't already terrified enough. After apparently taking pictures holding the cub, an animal's shrieking noise is heard and the bear is seen dropping to the ground. The cub then runs along the inside of the fence and tries to climb the fence a couple of times while the woman chases after it. We just saw that. In a press release, the Wildlife Commission stated a bear cub bit one of the people during the interaction.
Go bear.
Good. Unfortunately, the bear's probably going to be punished for it. Rachel Staunton, a resident of Asheville for 4 years, said she was walking around her apartment complex around 3 p.m. when she saw what was happening and decided to record it. I tried telling them to stop, but they wouldn't listen, so I thought recording it might help get justice for the sweet bear cub. I'm not sure how long it went on for, but far too long. Poor bear's all trapped now. Staunton said she has seen bears near the apartment complex before, but people usually have enough common sense to leave them alone.
I'm sure alcohol or pot was involved.
Well, there's quite a few people. After recording the video, Staunton told maintenance for the apartment complex, which then called law enforcement. The Buncombe County Sheriff's Office was the first on the scene in response, and they contacted the enforcement side of the Wildlife Commission. I hope these people got arrested. When Hobbs arrived, one bear cub was wet, cold, and alone, sitting in a retention pond at the apartment complex. Poor baby. Hobbs said it must have been there a while and was obviously a bit traumatized. You think? In the later released news report, Hobbs said the cub was favoring one of its front paws.
So it was injured. Really cool.
Really great job, people. The other cub we weren't able to find, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because usually this time of year moms will kind of stick their cubs in a safe place like a tree. She'll go and forage and then come back for them, which could be several hours later. These people are lucky they lived. They are lucky they lived because if Mama had been anywhere near. It's not uncommon to get calls this time of year about cubs being alone, but certainly we don't usually have people go out and start pulling them out of trees to take selfies with them. Hobbs said this narcissism is just way over the top. Hobbs said what do you bet they took a TikTok? Hobbs said the cub is at the Appalachian Wildlife Refuge in Chandler, one of 2 rehab facilities for bears in the state. The commission will continue to monitor the area for a few days. Hopefully they can reunite the bear with its mommy. A staff member was able to identify the apartment residents in the video. Good. And Hobbs went to make sure they didn't bring the cub into the apartment or feed it at any time. She also said that they had a stern conversation about how dangerous it is to interact with cubs like they did. I would have had a stern conversation too, and my knuckles would have bled afterwards. Which is why I'm not working for the wildlife. Everyone was in a dangerous situation here. If the mother bear is around, she could try to protect her cubs, which could put people in danger. If an adult bear is in a position where it needs to defend itself, that presents a danger to the bear. And if the cub is separated from its mother, it could die because it's orphaned. You stupid morons.
Best kind.
You selfish morons. The Wildlife Commission is investigating the incident to determine if any citations, fines, or charges should be filed based on county laws, state laws, and the Commission's own regulations. How about the don't be a jerk laws? How about the don't harm wildlife laws? How about the keep your stupid paws to yourself laws? How about the don't hurt innocent little baby bears laws? Why aren't those already laws? No?
They probably are.
Vote for me. They're just named something different, like VSP 145.9, Section 4, Article 12.
Like
yeah. Spokesperson Aaron Sarver said, with the Buncombe County Sheriff's Office confirmed that a patrol deputy responded initially, but the Sheriff's Office is not investigating. Why?
Because that's the Wildlife Commission's job.
Okay. Yeah. I think they should both hit him. Hobbs did emphasize with fines. With fines. They should both hit him with fines.
Right.
Yeah, fines.
Fine with me.
Yeah, not brass knuckles or guns or anything. Hobbs did emphasize that it is illegal to disturb a bear den in North Carolina under state law, and that is part of the investigation into this whole fiasco, as she put it. Because technically that wasn't a den, so they might get off on a technicality. I think there's a high chance of a good outcome here, Hobbs said regarding the cub. There's a high chance that it'll be just fine, and we'll be able to release it eventually. The public should contact New York if they suspect they've encountered an orphaned bear cub. If you believe a cub has been orphaned, do not attempt to capture it. Instead, give the mother plenty of room and time to reconnect with her cub. To avoid harming yourself or the bear cub, do not handle it. Durr. Do not attempt to catch it. Durr. Do not remove it. Durr. Do not feed it. Durr. Do take note of your location and call the North Carolina Wildlife Helpline at 866-318-2401. And if you're not in North Carolina, I'm sure there's a different number.
Yeah.
It goes on to give you bear safety tips. If you are interested or so stupid that you need to look them up, head on over to counterculturewise.com. And if you are so stupid you need to look them up, do you know that if you donate $1 million to Counterculturewise, you will regrow all of your body hair?
Including the stuff on my bald spot on my head?
Especially, yes.
Well, dang.
All the places that you
by the way,
it.
For instructions on how to use bear spray and more guidelines on how to handle black bear encounters, visit bearwise.org.
Bearwise.
That's BEARwise.org.
.org. Right. So, in this particular case, I do believe in the right to arm bears.
Yes.
All right. One last story.
Well, our friends at Dollar General, you know, we live in weird times when 99-cent store chain is closing down. All these dollar store, discount store chains are closing things down for, in areas that need them the most. But these people are helping this kind of crap along, and I want to talk about this. Dollar General is taking a big step away from self-checkout as a reckoning over the concept continues. I will say in full disclosure that our town has 2 Dollar General stores. One of them does have this self-checkout option. The dollar store chain is cutting self-checkout completely at 300 stores where theft and inventory loss is particularly high, Todd Vassos, the CEO of Dollar General, said on Thursday. About 14,000 of Dollar General's 20,000 stores offer self-checkout. The retailer is also converting self-checkout stands to hybrid ones with an assisted checkout option at 9,000 locations, intended to drive traffic first to our staffed registers with assisted checkout options available as second or third options to reduce lines during high-volume times, he said. In the meantime, customers at the remaining stores with self-checkout will be limited to buying 5 items at a time, Vassos said. The changes are meant to get the employees more involved. So won't they just
pocket the 6th? I mean, isn't that kind of the point?
These people are rich CEOs. They have far better brains than ours. Melanie, do you not understand that?
I guess not, because my brain isn't as powerful. So
there we go.
What do I know?
The changes are meant to get employees more involved again in ringing customers up, doing their job. and curb theft in the process, Vassos said. We believe there is truly no substitute for an employee present at the front end of the store to greet customers and provide excellent customer service, including at checkout, the CEO said.
I agree. Usually there is nobody up there.
Yeah. No, there was one time when not only was there nobody there, but the keys were on the counter, and I was this close.
He's holding up an inch finger.
Yeah. I was this close to grabbing them, taking it outside, and just dropping in front of the door just to make a point.
Locking
After
them
waiting for a long time to get rung up, I was peeved.
That's nuts.
Dollar General isn't alone in reassessing its options. Other retailers have implemented or experimented with a 10-item limit for self-checkout transactions. Walmart has started limiting self-checkout at some stores to its Walmart Plus members and Spark drivers.
Oh, interesting. I always thought it was 10 items or fewer.
I think most of them were 15 or 20. Dollar General and others have wrestled for years with shrink, or losses due to theft, damaged goods, or unsold inventory that has to be discounted or written off. A rival dollar store chain, Dollar Tree, said Wednesday that they would close 1,000 stores under its Family Dollar brand, citing theft as one of the factors it considered when deciding which stores to close. Melanie and I, on our trip to Vegas, actually wound up at one of these Family Dollar stores, and we made a killing.
Yeah, 75% off the entire
everything
store.
And stuff that's usually lower than other places anyway. Vassos first teased the Dollar General was rethinking its approach to self-checkout in December. At the time, he said the chain would dedicate more staff to checkout to curb theft and errors. He said that since then, Dollar General has used AI to evaluate its self-checkouts. The technology confirmed that it contributed to the company's shrink problem, not just because some customers stole products, but also because others were bagging items that seemed to ring up but didn't. The AI evaluation inspired the hybrid checkout model the company is now rolling out at 9,000 stores. That should immediately do a lot for us to combat theft and other losses from shrink, Vassos added. Do you work at Dollar General, Dollar Tree, or Family Dollar and have a story idea to share? Reach out to that reporter at A Bitter. Yes, a bitter. As in a bitter, barren old woman. A Bitter at businessinsider.com.
Okay. Well, it's Alex Bitter, so it could go either way. It could be a bitter old woman or a bitter old man. It's hard to tell anymore.
Or maybe it's Abiter. I'll just,
whatever. Yeah.
Coming up next, welcome to the new Abnormal.
Abby Normal.
We got some Abby Normal stuff going on.
Yes, we do. Okay.
And now, CCW News presents Holy Crap! This is actually happening! The Juice is Loose Edition, Extra Tax Day 2024. I'm Chuck U. Farley. The big story this week was the eclipse, which occurred right on schedule, like it always does. The upcoming double cicada mating event, which will occur right on schedule, like it always has. And the New Jersey earthquake, which was more of a surprise. Liberals laughed themselves silly at the conservatives who they say saw these three events as part of an apocalypse, even though not one single conservative anywhere even mentioned it. But the harpies on The View blamed all three first on climate change, then on Trump. No, I swear I am not making this up. It gets better if you can believe it. Texas Democrat Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, who once served on the House Science Committee and on the subcommittee that oversees space policy and NASA, declared that the moon is a planet made of gas. An eclipse means the moon, which provides both light and energy and uses they-them pronouns, turns off its lights, and the sun may one day be colonizable. After much mocking all over the internet, Mrs. Lee tripled down and called everyone stupid and racist for disagreeing with her. As of this report, she failed to blame Trump, but we know it's coming. The underworld cheered as it admitted another one of its minions this week. Rich, smug, admitted multiple murderer, O.J. Simpson. The LA Times, however, is so mired in their own TDS that in his obituary, they literally confused the juice for Trump and used Trump's name in their long-winded imaginary story about O.J. exiting prison. Well, orange juice is indeed orange, I guess. After all, orange is the new black. Under the pretense of fighting the fentanyl pandemic, which would be virtually shut down if the borders were ever shut down, the U.S. intelligence community pushed Congress to expand Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act of 1978, which allows the government to collect the communications of anyone at any time without warrant or reason. While the CIA is pinky swearing that they won't use it to spy on U.S. citizens, this time, the mean old GOP held off on the decision right up until the deadline, then gave in like Lizzo's bra straps. For the first time in its 75-year history, Mattel UK has changed one of its flagship games, Scrabble. The new boards will be double-sided, with a traditional game on one side and a non-scoring version on the other that will cater to the West's dumbed-down society by offering helper cards and simple challenges that will make Scrabble, quote, a collaborative, faster-paced version of the iconic word game to make gameplay more accessible for anyone who finds word games intimidating. End quote. In other words, words themselves are now too difficult for those who survived any public school system. But then again, this is the same school system that had to remove all analog clocks from their classrooms because, admittedly, students were too stupid to be able to read them. No, I did not make this up. Speaking of surviving socialist schooling, the alphabet mafia is bobsledding down the once-mocked slippery slope by injecting bestiality into its middle school Healthy Relationships presentation for 8th graders in Australia. Girls were so distressed by the material that many literally fled the classroom. The South Australian Department for Education is investigating the incident, which of course makes way more sense after the fact than vetting a third-party presenter who espoused that the plus in LGBTQMNAIP+ includes bestiality, among other graphically described deviancies. Meanwhile, across the pond, the USDA is under fire to improve the National School Lunch Program by removing Kraft Lunchables because of their large levels of lead, and cadmium, and sodium. This might partially explain the need for the change in Scrabble. Finally, after Iran attacked Israel with thousands of drone missiles, Israel was told that they are not allowed to retaliate and are big meanies for defending themselves by intercepting said bombs. In the United States, college professors are literally teaching U.S. students to chant, "Death to America" and "Death to Israel" in Persian. Meanwhile, the Biden cabal is forcing us to fund both sides of every conflict. This last Sunday, the diaper filler-in-chief avoided answering any questions about the looming Third World War, made it clear that he was quite peeved about being called back to the White House early from yet another vacation that has taken up more than 40% of his so-called presidency, called a lid on all presidential duties at 5:15 p.m., and went home to eat pudding and ignore the mess he made. 81 million totally legitimate votes, ladies and gentlemen. For CCW News, this has been Holy Crap, This Is Actually Happening. I'm Chuck U. Farley. Good night, and may God help us.
This is not Bubba Walters. It is no longer 2020, but this is your new abnormal.
I can do things other people can't. And by the way, you know, I sit on the stand, and it get hot. I got hairy legs.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to
And I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired.
Ambrose Brosey, they call him Bosey, Monica Bosey. And he became an Army Air Corps before the Air Force came along. He flew those single-engine planes as reconnaissance over war zones. He got shot down in New Guinea, and they never found the body because there were a lot of cannibals for real in that part of New Guinea.
clap for that, you stupid bastard.
What a stupid son of a bitch.
这是新的一场。
I'm the only white boy within 20 miles.
Welcome to the new abnormal, ladies and gentlemen.
Introduced, of course, by the king of the abnormal.
The king of the abnormal, yes. We will have different versions of that. I just finished doing the Biden-esque version, and I thought, he had such a banner week. Not only is Chuck going to talk about it later this week, but I thought maybe you'd like some inspiration for your day, so enjoy.
All right.
Okay, well, our old stomping grounds, Seattle, Washington.
Indeed.
It looks like something actually that makes sense came out of there, which doesn't happen very often.
They actually supported free speech for a change.
I'm really surprised.
I'm blown away.
Especially with Pantifa, going against them.
Pantifa.
Pantifa. Yes.
So
take it away, Jimbo.
Oh, take it away, Jimbo. Okay.
Take it away, Jimbo.
Well, I'll take it away, Jimbo. I wasn't ready to take it away, Jimbo.
Take it away, Melanie Ho.
Oh, it's okay. I got it. I said it was your turn.
Seattle Street Treat. You did? Okay, well, I must not have been present when you said it was my turn. Me and Max were having a discussion during the break.
I can do it.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
We vamped long enough. Yay!
Banter. A Seattle street preacher won a case before the Ninth Circuit on Thursday in a ruling that prohibits Seattle police from arresting him for reading the Bible at public events, even when it incites hostile reactions.
Okay, I'm sorry, but reading the Bible, that doesn't incite anything. You just have a bunch of crazies that are using whatever excuse they can to be jerks.
Well, you have to consider where this was taking place, though. It wasn't just...
But still...
And by the way, the Ninth Circuit isn't in Seattle. Seattle's a part of the Ninth Circuit. I think they're based out of San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken.
But to say that, any action that a person takes by simply speaking... Especially if they're just reading from a book. I don't even care what the book is. Even if they're reading from Mein Kampf, I don't care. They're not inciting anything. That's so stupid.
Yeah. Curtailing speech based on the listener's reaction is rarely, if ever, the least restrictive means to achieve the government's interest and safety. U.S. Circuit Judge J.S. Bybee, a George Bush appointee, wrote in the order.
Why do they always have to say who
Well, this is important.
Okay.
In this context, it's important. I did read this before I decided to talk about it. He was joined by senior U.S. District Judge M. Margaret McKeown, a Bill Clinton appointee, and Daniel A. Bress, a Donald Trump appointee. The street preacher in the case, Matthew Meineke, was arrested after reading Bible passages at 2 public events in 2022. One of the events Meineke attended was an abortion rally held in response to the U.S. Supreme Court's decision in Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization on June 24, 2022. In his original civil rights lawsuit, did I say that correctly? Meineke said that after an hour of walking on a sidewalk with a sign while reading biblical verses and handing out literature, protesters surrounded him and one took his Bible away. Undeterred, Meineke began reading from a second Bible. Always have a backup. After 15 minutes, he said a different person tore up his Bible pages before a group of so-called Antifa members carried him to the other side of the street. Meineke then moved 30 feet away. Before long, he said a different protester knocked him down and took his shoes away. When the
sounds to me like they were pre-incited.
Yeah. Meineke, When the police responded, Meineke claimed that they asked him to move across the street. He did not. The Seattle Pride Fest, the other event referenced in Meineke's complaint, is an annual LGBTQ plus Pride event. During Pride Fest on June 26, 2022, Meineke said he spent most of the day preaching without issue, although he said one person poured water on his Bible and a few others yelled at him or barked like a dog. 10 officers eventually approached Meineke, 10 of them. He said that this time they asked him to leave the park. He did not. On both occasions, Seattle police arrested Meineke under a city ordinance that punishes citizens for disobeying police orders to stop a behavior, even if it's protected speech, when it risks injury to any person in the area.
The only person at risk was him.
Yeah. I have a problem with that, even if it's protected speech, Jazz. This time, place, and manner restriction prompted Meineke to sue the city and its police department in March 2023.
Good for him.
In the suit, Meineke requested an injunction preventing the Seattle police from further arresting him for his preaching. U.S. District Judge Barbara Jacobs Rothstein, a Jimmy Carter appointee, denied that motion in June 2023. According to Rothstein, the Seattle police never asked Meineke to leave the public events, only that he move a safer distance away to prevent conflict or risk arrest.
It doesn't matter. Pantifa will chase you down because they're little
Yes, they are.
panty-wearing.
Panties.
Yeah.
The police response to
Trying to behave here.
I know you're struggling under the weight, but you're doing it. You're doing all right. The police's response to Meineke's resistance was neutral. The police decided, although a Ninth Circuit panel ruled otherwise after an appeal hearing in early February. Excuse me. Even assuming that the officers simply instructed Meineke to cross the street, their directions burdened Meineke's speech, Bybee wrote into Thursday's order.
Nice.
Meineke had a right, just as those participating in the anti-Dobbs rally or the celebration of Pride Fest, to use public sidewalks and streets for the peaceful dissemination of his views.
Besides, he's probably paid taxes where all the other ones haven't.
I don't know. Bybee noted that when police single out a non-threatening speaker for discipline, its government is choosing sides in a debate. Sorry about my throat, folks. Choosing sides in a debate while using a statute to enforce that decision. In this case, he said the restriction on speech amounted to what's called content-based heckler's vetoes, in which opposing party triggers an event that silences a speaker. The officers could have required the protesters to take a step back from Meineke, Bybee wrote. They could have called for more officers, as they did after Meineke was arrested. They could have erected a free speech barricade. They could have warned the protesters that any sort of physical altercation would result in the perpetrators' arrests.
They had already done that,
And they could have arrested the individuals who ultimately assaulted Meineke.
Exactly.
Since the police did none of these things and failed to cite less restrictive methods of avoiding violence, the panel reasoned that Meineke established a likelihood of success on his First Amendment claim.
Good.
We reversed the district court and remand with instructions to enter a preliminary injunction consistent with this opinion in favor of Meineke, Bybee
So it wasn't Seattle that did something right.
No, it was the Ninth Circuit Court, which is just almost as surprising.
Every bit as surprising.
Yeah, so thank you, Ninth Circuit Court.
You'll have to excuse our throats. We've been inhaling butterfly.
Yes. All righty. This one's fun. This is a free. This is a
free speech segment.
Free speech segment as well.
Scotland is.
Yeah,
lost.
this is proof of it.
Scotland.
This is
lost.
what happens when you decide to arbitrarily call something hate speech.
Yeah.
Hit it, Melanie Hope.
Police Scotland has been. Police Scotland has been.
Yeah, Police Scotland. That's the name of their police.
Sounds wrong. Has been forced to pay control room staff overtime amid a deluge of complaints under the country's controversial new hate crime law. It has been claimed. Wee. David Kennedy, the General Secretary of the Scottish Police Federation, said that the bill for enforcing the new law by paying for overtime and other costs would total hundreds of thousands. Oh, golly gee willikers. The Hate Crime and Public Order Scotland Act came into force on Monday, and insiders believe police have received more than 6,000 complaints lodged under the law, which created a new crime of stirring up hatred.
That's nice and specific, isn't it?
Yeah, that sounds like any time I'm upset with my neighbor,
it's a red flag law for speech in Scotland.
Basically,
yeah.
It's a tattle on your neighbor law is what it is,
Yeah.
and it works so well in Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
The legislation passed by the SNP government with Labour and Liberal Democrat support extends long-standing offenses around racist abuse to other grounds based on age, disability, religion, and all the other crap.
Stuff.
All the other Rainbow Mafia crap. On Thursday, Humza Yousaf.
Humza Yousaf.
Obviously a native Scotland.
Greetings.
I'm the SNP First Minister admitted some of the complaints made since Monday were vexatious. That's a fun word.
Yeah.
As Mr. Kennedy revealed that the service was now having to pay overtime to control room staff. He told The Telegraph, although there are lots of complaints coming in, a tiny percentage of that are turning into actual investigations. It will be all done within the control room. The control room will be paying extra overtime and using officers from the control room area to do it. I think they should be allowed to have
Your tax
counterclaims.
dollars at work, lass.
Yeah, you call me in, I get to counter call. You are just waiting to bust out your Connery.
I have to. It's a compulsion.
You got to get the Connery in there. All right. Mr. Kennedy said the staff will be weeding through complaints to see if they require action, and control room staff would be doing the bulk of the work. No, I can tell you 100% of them do not require action. They are people speaking, and you are wasting everybody's time.
And money. Lots of tax money.
There are not a lot of officers on patrol that are getting overly swamped because not a lot of the complaints are turning into actual hate crime investigations, because crime is crime, and hate crime is just crime that you slapped another word onto. It will be officers sitting and reading through whatever has been sent in to make sure that there is not any hate crime and that there is not any other crime being reported. And by the time they do that, the criminals have gotten away. The real criminals, you know, the ones mugging and raping and looting and all that stuff. There is overtime getting paid. They wouldn't have acquired it if the new law hadn't come in. They wouldn't have had to work the extra work. Had to do the extra. Wouldn't have had the extra. I want to stick extra words in there. He said the biggest complaint was having no extra funding or extra officers to deal with the new law. And while the number of complaints may dwindle, the impact will be weeks or months.
Duh.
It's never going to dwindle. People are just way too shallow nowadays. It's going to cost hundreds of thousands of pounds, and we don't have any officers, so I don't care what anybody says. There is a detrimental impact on other parts of the force. On Thursday, Mr. Yusuf urged people to desist from making vexatious complaints, which were wasting precious police resources and time.
Cease.
I'm kind of curious exactly, because he's used it two different ways now. So what exactly is the definition of this beautiful word that he's, because I thought it meant one thing and he's using it a different way. Let's see. Causing vexation.
Dun, 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 dun.
That is the stupidest definition.
Well, it's also the most accurate. I mean, what else did you expect it to say?
Number 2, full of vexation.
I'm quite vexatious this evening. This
definition is vexatious.
Yes, it is.
Agitating, afflictive, annoying.
There it is.
So basically he's saying he's using a big word so that he doesn't fully insult the people who are stupid little crybaby tattletales, because I would have just said for making crybaby tattletale complaints, which are wasting precious police resources and time.
You need to read the rest of this because it's pretty cool.
He said he was not surprised that police have rejected the complaints, as there was a very high threshold of criminality where the behavior has to be threatening or abusive and intends to stir up hatred. However, he said tweets by Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling, who dared the police to arrest her earlier in the week, may well be offensive, upsetting, and insulting to trans people. Don't care. Rowling hit back and said Yusuf will be ousted from power by a voter backlash over the law. The author said most Scots were upset and offended by Yusuf's bumbling incompetence and illiberal authoritarianism, but we aren't lobbying to have him locked up for it. She tweeted, "I don't believe in putting people I disagree with in jail. Hear that, Biden? We've got a ballot box, and that's where Yusuf will get his richly deserved comeuppance." It's not just true of Scotland. Britain is no longer a free country. Only hours after the Hate Crime and Public Order Scotland Act came into force, Rowling posted pictures of 10 high-profile trans people and ridiculed their claims to be women. She then challenged police to arrest her, but Police Scotland said her stance was not criminal. Separately, Callum Steele, the former General Secretary of the Scottish Police Federation, I'm starting to actually like her, and I didn't really like her. I liked her books, but she grew a spine finally. The former General Secretary of Scottish Police Federation said backroom staff working on the, quote, unseen, end quote, side of policing were being pulled into investigating reports of hate crimes.
I know. You know that I'm telling the truth. Yeah. Sorry.
He said the drain on resources would eventually hit frontline policing, but currently it was affecting back office staff whose work was still important. It is understood Police Scotland disputes Mr. Steele's claims after he said officers were being pulled from other parts of the force to deal with hate crime complaints. The force was approached for comment on overtime costs.
This is a boondoggle. And I hope.
These
Mr.
people are
Yourself
supposed to be representatives of the public, but they don't.
Yeah.
They don't. And I don't know why
they're playing
here
to
in
the
America,
whims of a very loud minority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even just a fringe minority, as Blackface Trudeau would say, but a freak minority.
Yeah.
Okay, what?
Speaking of ding-dong police officers, 4 troopers who falsified traffic tickets in 2018 won't face state criminal charges because the Connecticut State Police did not notify prosecutors in time, officials say.
Please tell me this picture was taken like in 2020.
I'm sure it was taken a couple years ago.
Because it doesn't say.
It's a bunch of dum-dums wearing masks, and then head guy speaking on the mic, somehow he's germ-free. Anyway, I don't talk about that much anymore because it was one of the dumb episodes.
We're in a state
I put
where
it in
happen
there
again.
with the Japanese internment camps as far as government overreach and stupidity.
They'll do it again because everybody complied.
Yeah, I know. There was no referral to the local state's attorney for a review of the conduct in question in 2018, and as a result, the statute of limitations for state charges to be filed has passed. Elaine Griffin, a spokesperson for Chief State's Attorney Patrick J. Griffin, said in a recent mail to CT Insider, CT being Connecticut. Elaine Griffin did not answer questions about what criminal statute prosecutors thought may have applied to the cases or when the statute of limitations on those charges ran out. In Connecticut, most felony charges, including states relevant to ticket fraud such as forgery and computer crimes, must be brought within 5 years after the alleged offense occurred. Misdemeanor charges, it's been more than 5 years. Misdemeanor charges have an even shorter statute of limitations, usually about a year. Stanley A. Twardy Jr., I would change my name, son, the former U.S. Attorney for Connecticut,
takes is a D and a T, baby.
said he's not surprised the state wasn't able to bring charges before the statute of limitations ran out. You can't just bring charges and then hope to prove it afterwards, he said. That would be unethical of a prosecutor to do that. Cameron Atkinson...
that's exactly what they're doing in every single Trump case.
Cameron Atkinson, a criminal offense attorney and civil litigator who doesn't have a strange name like Twardy, who practices in federal and state court, also said he wasn't surprised Griffin ran out of time to prosecute the case. Time has not been his friend, both in the statute of limitations and in the merits of any case he would have tried to bring, Atkinson said. An investigation by the state police's internal affairs unit sustained allegations that the 4 troopers had collectively logged hundreds of ghost traffic tickets in 2018. The public did not know about the cases until CT Insider published an investigation about them in August 2022. Patrick Griffin...
So were they writing traffic tickets to nobody or just picking random poor people?
Yeah, just...
To nobody.
To nobody.
So they're like Biden votes.
Right. Patrick Griffin opened a criminal investigation. Sorry, I said it slow because it took him a while to do this. Days after the news broke, saying he had only learned about the 4 troopers recently. At the time, Griffin's office said in a statement the investigation would include a thorough, vigorous, and timely review of all evidence associated with the allegations to determine whether criminal activity occurred. But state prosecutors went silent about their investigation for months. Even after an audit in June found a high likelihood that hundreds of troopers may have entered thousands of potentially false or inaccurate traffic tickets into a state database from 2014 through 2021.
What is the motivation for them to do that? Why are they doing that?
Well, let's see. I forget why. It should be in here somewhere. It'll get there. We'll get there. Where am I? 2014. Griffin's office declined to comment when CT Insider asked about the statute of limitations for the 4 original troopers in July, nearly a year after it opened its investigation into the 4 troopers. By that time, federal authorities had taken charge of the investigation into possible trooper ticket fraud. I guess they get paid more for more tickets.
But isn't that only if they win? I mean, you could just... Okay, well, I was just going to say, you could just write tickets to anybody and not care, and here we are.
Bingo. Department of Justice has since opened an ongoing criminal grand jury probe into the scandal. That's not going... The statute of limitations wouldn't apply there, I don't think. By the way, side note, never take legal advice from me. No. Or medical advice.
Nope.
Or financial advice.
Nope.
Take my biblical advice.
I wouldn't even take
okay.
relationship advice, to be honest.
Well, no. We managed. We've managed.
We've muddled.
We muddled. What we learned during the course of state police investigation, for example, is in 2018 there was no referral to the local state's attorneys for review. And as a result of that, without going into great detail, statutes and limitations were lost, Griffin told state Republican or state representative. Well, he was a Republican.
State Republican. There's only
Greg
one.
Howard R. Stonington in response to a question. The bill proposed by Governor Ned Lamont came after investigations by former U.S. Attorney Deidre Daley found serious failures by the state police, including a failure to refer the forced troopers to state prosecutors, despite the fact that the troopers' more immediate supervisors recognized that the conduct implicated certain state criminal statutes. Supervisors wrote in internal documents the 4 troopers' conduct may have amounted to felony crimes, but they ain't gonna get busted. How cool. Daley found most of the troopers flagged for discrepancies by the June audit likely did not intentionally falsify traffic tickets, but 6 troopers and 1 constable were referred for investigation by internal affairs, a report said, while 5 to 8 troopers came under lower-level internal reviews.
How do you not intentionally falsify? How do you accidentally falsify?
You'd have to ask them.
That's like
know.
the guy who cheats on his wife and says it was an accident. It's like, what'd you trip and
Wait,
it fell
I can
in?
explain. Elaine Griffin, we already talked about. No, I don't know if there's a relation to the other Griffin. Said state prosecutors are aware of those ongoing investigations. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
It just sounds like a whole lot of passing the buck and getting away with it.
Yeah. Making their numbers look better, basically. That would allow for more of a chance of getting a promotion.
Oh, yeah, like we were learning today about how there's been a significant decrease in homicide, but a significant increase in crime. It's like, I wonder if that correlates at all with a change of wording on what homicide means. Because that's how they increased... I
don't even know what means anymore.
It depends on what is.
Yep. But let's go to something positive.
I don't know about you, but I could use some positivity
Let's have some
right
positive.
here. Okay. I've even got a stinger for this one, believe it or not.
Ain't I a stinger?
Here on Counterculture Wise, we may rant, we may rave, but most of all, we go against the current culture because we believe, to the core of our beings, that humans are good and the world is an amazing and beautiful place. At the beginning of our show, we give you news of the weird and wonderful, but that is just the tip
Except
of
when
the
I forget to mute the
magnificent
microphones,
iceberg
and
that
now
is
I'm
our
talking
world.
into the
We
thing.
now present news of the wonderfuller. I muked the microphone. I muked. What?
Wow. How much?
Wow.
How much of that iced tea have you been drinking?
Yeah, I've been drinking iced tea all day long.
That'll
Good
teach you.
grief, that'll teach me. Oy vey, I don't know about myself right now. Okay, welcome to our final. No, you're going to make me read this, aren't you?
Well, I'm not going to make me read it.
Okay, here we go. A South Carolina woman's act of kindness ended with her becoming a bride-to-be. Back in 2022, Brandon Morgan, now 27, received crushing news. His chances of surviving a liver disease were so low that he was no longer a candidate to receive an organ from a deceased donor. After being referred to the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center's Living Donor Liver Transplant Program. How can you transplant your living liver? How does that work? Don't you need your liver? His then-girlfriend, Christina Benjamin, immediately wanted to volunteer. You don't want to look at someone and them suffering and having to deal with it when you're able to help, Benjamin, now 29, tells People. But Morgan was concerned about the possible risks, and according to Benjamin, he wanted to start a family. It would be even worse if 2 people went in and one didn't make it out, kind of deal, Morgan says. You've got so many variables going into a surgery that's life-threatening in itself. I'm going to have to figure out how we can donate my liver while I'm still using it. And in December 2022, Benjamin became pregnant with the couple's child. However, after experiencing a miscarriage a few months later, she decided to go ahead and get evaluated to be his donor. Although she didn't end up getting the news she wanted to hear, not being able to be her boyfriend's donor ended up being exactly what he needed to get a liver. When I found out I was not a match, I chose to donate to someone else to commit to the process, she says. Sure enough, shortly after Benjamin learned she was set to become a stranger's donor, Morgan learned everything was all set for his surgery, too. It was fate, like it was all meant to be, he says.
That's a beautiful black and white picture underneath that.
It's a lovely picture. If you're listening on audio, head on over to GoJoAsDigHim or check us out on any of the video platforms where we don't get booted off. Good luck. Her liver went to Peggy Miller, 70, of State College, Pennsylvania, who had non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and was put on the transplant list in January 2023. Non-alcoholic fatty liver. That almost sounds like a dish at a foo-foo restaurant. Told by... blink, blink. Told by doctors that she had about 3 to 6 months to live at the time of her diagnosis, Miller and her husband were already preparing for her funeral until she got a call from the UPMC that a liver was available. And she got a nice, fresh young'un, too. It was a miracle, Miller tells people. I had gone downhill so fast that we just didn't think a liver was going to come in time. My husband and I just looked at each other. We were in disbelief that it was happening because we had accepted the fact that it wasn't going to happen. Before meeting Benjamin at the hospital after the procedure, Miller initially assumed that her new liver came from a deceased donor. Within a few hours, here came Christine, just a beautiful young girl, and I swear she had angel wings and a halo, she recalls. I was beyond grateful that a young woman like her would go through this procedure to help a total stranger. Meanwhile, Morgan was ready to receive his new liver from a living donor, Philip Rothschild, 34, a nurse from New Mexico, who had previously donated one of his kidneys in 2017. Okay, dude, you can just diet. You don't have to lose weight that way. The two men met minutes before their surgery. Brandon's very muscular and he's very strong-looking. Rothschild tells people, I look at this guy and I'm like, he needs a liver? God, I look unhealthy compared to him. And he does. After his surgery, Morgan was brought to the hospital's transplant intensive care unit. A few days later, he told the nurses he wanted to surprise Benjamin by proposing. They set up a room that they had for visitors to do a bunch of heart decorations and everything in there. They're both wearing their hospital socks and got stuff all over them. In a fitting nod to their story, Rothschild and his family were in the room when the proposal went down. Brandon gets down on one knee and proposes, Rothfield said. I keep saying Rothschild, it's Rothfield. As he's going down, he starts to kind of waver a little bit. I'm a nurse, so my instinct is to get up and help him. I think my wife was on one side and my brother's on the other. Both put their hands on my shoulder, being like, do not move. He also remembers thinking, dang, man, you're a stranger person than I am.
Stronger, honey.
Stronger, not stranger. Here I changed the bad word and I messed up the good word. I couldn't even get my shoes on, let alone get on one knee, he quips. Benjamin, who assumed her boyfriend would never propose at the hospital, was completely blown away. It was definitely a big shock, she says. After their experiences at UPMC, Morgan, Benjamin, Miller, and Rothfield have bonded as an informal family. Aww! Since the liver transplants, Morgan and Benjamin have spent time with Rothfield and his wife, Kelly McLaughlin, both of whom moved to South Carolina this past February. And last December, Morgan and Benjamin spent part of their holiday with Miller. They're a really cute couple.
Yeah, they are.
She's precious. As for the future, while the couple hasn't picked a date just yet, they're excited to have their whole lives ahead of them. When I first got with Brandon, it was almost like I didn't know how much time I had with him, Benjamin says, but now I can actually plan a future. Okay, I need to do some research on how you can donate a healthy liver. Maybe liver is one of those things that you can cut in half and it still works if you're healthy.
I think you have to make adjustments in your, like, permanent adjustments to your diet if you were to do something like that. I don't know.
Well, I know you can't do that with your heart. So.
No, nor would I offer to.
I mean, because you've got 2 kidneys but only 1 liver. Okay. Ensure you meet the basic requirements between 18 and 55. Not obese, Not any major abdominal surgery, so I am completely out on all counts. Well, except for the 55. Your blood type should be compatible with the recipients, but it doesn't necessarily have to match. Reach out to the transplant center, undergo initial health screening, complete the liver donor evaluation, meet with the transplant team, wait for results, prepare for surgery, undergo surgery, recover, and follow up. After surgery, you'll need to stay in the hospital for several days and follow a recovery plan. You'll also need to attend follow-up appointments to monitor your health and the regeneration of your liver. I did not know that was a thing. I honestly did not know that was a thing. I was today years old. Okay, liver transplantation. Bring this on over. This is from Johns Hopkins. Might as well make it official here. Has been accepted as a life-saving treatment and standard of care for many forms of end-stage liver disease since the early 1980s. It became obvious a number of deceased donors could not meet demands for liver. To meet these living donor liver transplants was developed and began with adults donating to children. It has since expanded to allow adults to donate to other adults. Technical advances in liver surgery, as well as the liver's tremendous ability to regenerate, have made this procedure a life-saving reality. I had no idea.
No, did I.
Okay, well, not only did we get to tell a beautiful story, but we also got to learn something new. And hey,
hopefully maybe you learned it for the first time too tonight, folks.
Yeah, maybe you learned it, and maybe you could be a donor. Who knows? Maybe we accidentally stumbled upon something that could save some lives, and if there's any chance at all, it was worth all the button punching and doing things wrong and staying up late and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Ironically, we're finishing about the same time we would normally finish. But, you know, that's okay.
That's okay. Well, upload the audio and then you'll be seeing the videos. And with that being said, folks, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to get better at this. We promise this every week, and we're going to continue promising it, and we're going to continue to get better.
Coming soon, more sketches involving our friend Max.
Yes. Also, I have been in contact with Rumble Studios, so hopefully we'll try to get some things ironed out as far as going live again.
I would prefer to go live, even with all the silliness that sometimes happens when we're live.
And keep in mind, it's just little old me over here pushing all the buttons, trying to figure everything out, making all this stuff, and I don't have a team, so you're never going to get like Tim Cast or anything out of me, but we're going to do the best we can with what we got, and we're going to do it with a lot of heart because we love you, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Bye. Counterculture-Wise is a Stormcat production.
Thank you for joining our growing family of listeners. All links from the show are available on our website, counterculturewise.com. Find our archives on any of your favorite podcast hosts.
We engage in satire, commentary, and generally laugh at the ridiculousness of our crumbling society. Our only medical or financial advice is to not follow any financial or medical advice given by podcasters.
Our animations, interviews, Holy Crap segment, and other videos are put out on Bitchute and Rumble, and only in part on YouTube because they hate free speech.
Our show is entirely funded by listeners like you. Visit our ever-expanding merch store or our Subscribe Star, where you can get outtakes, extra videos, and sneak peeks.
If you would like to be a guest on our program, feel free to contact us via our website. Just click on the link at the top that says, "Be a guest on our show."
For more fun and cat pics, please visit our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. For complaints about our show, please fill out the ID10T form on our website, and we will give it the attention it deserves.
Meanwhile, no matter how cruel the world may be around you, always remember the importance of kindness. Be kind to each other, be kind to animals, and be kind to yourself. See you next week.